There's like 80 odd more of you than the last time I switched this camera on, which is crazy. My channel has had the most insane 48 hours of its tiny little life. If you follow me on Twitter, you will 1000% know why I'm here today. If you don't follow me on Twitter, or if you haven't been on YouTube for the last couple of days, you may or may not know that YouTube recently brought in a new policy whereby you need at least 1,000 subscribers and at least 4,000 viewing hours in order to qualify for the YouTube partnership program, which means you can monetize your videos, as well as a couple of other features. I'm not entirely sure what those other features are. Disclaimer, I do not monetize my videos. I never have monetized my videos because that's not why I make them. I make them because I love them, and because I love books, and because I love sharing them with you guys, and because I love getting to know you too. But I know that some of my BookTube friends and some small BookTube channels have now lost that source of income, which I cannot express how unfair I think that is. So in order to help, I put out a tweet 2 days ago, yes, on Wednesday, I put out a tweet saying that I would shout out to anyone that replied to that tweet with a link to their channel, channels that have been affected by these changes. And the links kept coming, and the tweet kept being retweeted and liked, and they're actually still coming right now. And I was so overwhelmed with the amount of replies and reaction that tweet got, and I thought, oh my god, I need to start compiling this list because I need to shout out to all of these amazing booktubers in this video. So I started writing them all down, and then I spent the entirety of yesterday watching book hauls, watching wrap-ups, watching favourite books of 2017 videos, watching discussions, trying to get to know all of these amazing small channels that had come to me through this tweet, because I didn't want to just read out you guys' names in a video. I wanted to make it a little bit more personal than that. So I literally spent the entire day yesterday going through so many videos, and I found some incredible channels that I cannot wait to shout out to you guys. So I wrote them all down in this little notebook. I've actually had this notebook for ages, and I've been saving it for a special occasion, and I thought there is no better occasion than this. So I started writing all of them down. I started trying to pick out what I thought was awesome about each and every channel, and give you guys reasons to subscribe to each of these channels. So obviously I will link them all in the description down below, but there is literally like 30 pages of A5 that I am literally going to sit here and read it to you guys. This notebook is pretty much like Fantastic Booktubers and Where to Find Them by Alex Pattinson right now. It's less of a list and more of a compendium, I'm gonna say, but I am determined to literally give all of the love and support to all of these very, very well deserving channels, and I hope that you guys will find some new favourites in this list as well. So I'm just gonna get started right away. I don't know how long this video is gonna be, so you may want to pause it, get a drink and a snack, and just settle in for some great BookTube love. So yeah, just going to get right on into it. So these are in alphabetical order, by the way. They are in no ranking at all because I am way against anything like that. So I'm going to start with A Bear and a Bee Books. This is Samantha, who you should watch for obscure YA fantasy, non-fiction and classics. I'd only actually heard of 2 out of 8 of her top YA of the year, which I thought was really awesome. So definitely check her out if you like your obscure YA. She has some very well thought out reviews and discussions too. Next we have Amanda at Beautiful Bookworm, who you should watch for YA fantasy, as well as adult contemporary and historical fiction. She's currently reading Harry Potter for the first time, and as someone who comes from a country where it's pretty much the law to read and worship those books, I just find that really funny. And she's not actually the only person on this list who's reading Harry Potter for the first time this year, so definitely check that out if you are curious about watching her progress with that. Next we have Whitney at A Darker Shade of Whitney, who you should watch for YA and adult fantasy. She's also a writer who gives writing prompts. She has some very detailed reviews with lots and lots of reasons for why you should read the books that she loves. So yeah, definitely check her out too. Then we have Abby at Abby's Book Reviews, and who you should watch for YA fantasy, unboxings and fairy tale retellings. She is very softly spoken as well, and she's really lovely and chilled, so please go and check her out if that sounds like your kind of booktuber. Next we have Abigail D, who you should watch for bubbly Top 5 Wednesdays and book discussions. She also covers some baking and lifestyle and writing videos too, so definitely check her out for all of that. Then we have Ali at Ali Rose Reads, who you should watch for historical romance and literary fiction, as well as travel and writing related videos. She is incredibly sweet as well. She has a wonderful personality, so please go and check her out too. Then we have Amber at Amber Eats Books, who you should watch for slightly dark literary fiction and non-fiction. She is very, very likeable and very, very natural in front of the camera too, so definitely check her out too. Then we have Amanda at A Stitch in Time, who you should watch for YA fantasy, romance, tags, as well as music, film and TV videos. She has a fantastic sarcastic sense of humour too, so definitely check her out. Then we have Megan at The Awkward Book Nerd, who you should watch for YA and adult fantasy. She is a big fan of the Lunar Chronicles and Harry Potter, and she is very, very funny and very, very sweet. So yeah, definitely check her out too. Then we have Will at The Bald Book Geek, who you should watch for quirky, lyrical, middle grade YA and adult books. He does also have the dark crime, the odd dark crime book, and some discussion videos and some fantasy thrown in there as well. He is very, very eloquent, and he has some fantastic detailed reviews and discussions that you should definitely check out. So yeah. Then we have Bridget at B Books, who you should watch for an eclectic mix of traditional booktube videos and NaNoWriMo writing videos. She also has lots of TV show discussions too, and she has a very, very lovely, bubbly, natural personality, so definitely check her out too. Then we have Becky at Becky Bookworm, who you should watch for sci-fi, fantasy and paranormal books. She always films in a very cozy, natural setting as well, which I really love, so definitely check her out. And she has a very, very lovely, warm, friendly personality, so please check her out too. Then we have Becky Ford, who you should watch for literary fiction, classics, modern classics, historical fiction and non-fiction. She also has a very, very warm personality, and she's really informative about the books that she reads, so please go check her out. Then we have Jade at A Bedtime Bookworm, who you should read for fantasy, who you should watch even for fantasy, sci-fi, both YA and adult. She is currently taking part in a read-along of the Wheel of Time series by Robert Jordan, so if you're interested in that series, please check her out for that. She's incredibly sweet as well. I've only got to know her recently, but she is a lovely, lovely girl, so please check her out too. Then we have Isabella at Bella's Bookshelves, who you should watch for YA, contemporary and fantasy. She loves a diverse YA and some beautiful book covers too, and she's super, super cute, and she has some amazing aesthetically beautiful bookshelves that you definitely need to check out. So yeah, definitely check her out for all of that. Then we have Raya at Bo Finkins, who you should watch for some great obscure sci-fi and fantasy recommendations. She has some great discussion videos too, and she also has some Finnish recommendations because she is Finnish herself, so please check her out if that sounds like your kind of thing. Then we have Cassie at A Bookish Four Eyes, who you should watch for thrillers, literary fiction and non-fiction. She is really, really sweet too, so please check her out. Then we have Victoria at Books and Things, who you should watch for non-fiction, darker sci-fi and some comics and graphic novels, as well as some magical, cute middle grade. Then we have Rob at Books and Bobs, who you should watch for epic fantasy with the occasional contemporary and the occasional comic too. He's very informative, and he's really, really good at persuading you to read the books that he talks about, so please check him out for all of that. Then we have Krista at Books and Jams, who you should watch for literary fiction, fantasy and mysteries. She is so, so warm and friendly and smiley, and her videos always light up my day, so please check her out too. Then we have Brittany at Brittany Moore, who you should watch for writing inspiration. She does have the odd book review and a general creative fun video too. She is a great channel for aspiring fantasy writers, so please check her out if that sounds like you. Then we have Brittany at Brittany Freaking Reads, who you should watch for YA fantasy and sci-fi, retellings and adult contemporary. She has come up with a really innovative way of tackling her TBR as well, which you really, really need to check out. So yeah. Then we have Ree at A Bubbly Bookend, who you should watch for fantasy, sci-fi and the odd contemporary. She has a very natural, bubbly personality too, so please check her out. Then we have Jay at Captured in Words, who you should watch for fantasy, manga and just a general Canadian charm. He reads a lot of very chunky, epic fantasy, and he is just a really lovely, friendly guy, so please check him out too. Then we have Liz at Careful of Books, who you should watch for fantasy, both YA and adult and the odd middle grade, and she has a very lovely natural setting and personality too, so please check her out. Then we have Katerina at Katerina the Bookworm, who you should watch for comics, manga, fantasy, as well as vlogs and TV discussions. She is super sweet too. Then we have Kaz at Cats and Camera, who you should watch for comics, LGBT recommendations, fantasy and contemporary. She has some very honest opinions as well, and a very natural personality. Then we have Chelsea at Chelsea Palmer, who you should watch for YA fantasy, dystopian and sci-fi, as well as the odd contemporary. She has some very aesthetically pleasing bookshelves behind her too, full of beautiful hardcovers. She also has the odd creative, unique video and some great upcoming release videos too, so please check her out for all of that. Then we have Cherry at Cherry Walker, who was one of my very first BookTube friends. She is amazing, and you should definitely check her out for fantasy, dystopian, YA and adult contemporary. Some of her videos also feature some of her adorable children, which I obviously absolutely love, and she does sometimes have some kids book recommendations too, so please check her out. She is amazing. Then we have Cody at Cody's Book Corner, who you should watch for sci-fi, deep, thought-provoking, contemporary and fantasy. She has a very lovely, relatable personality and some great, well-thought-out reviews as well, so please check her out. Then we have Brianna at Coffee, Books and Bullet Journals, and you should watch her for travel and lifestyle vlogs, bullet journal-related videos, and some obscure dystopian romance. And she actually plans to read Harry Potter for the first time this year too, so yeah, definitely check her out for that. Then we have Amanda at Cook Read Create, and you should watch her for obscure Australian YA, contemporary and historical fiction. She also loves a vegan cookery, and she has some amazing bookish nail art videos as well. Very eclectic mix of videos on that channel, so please watch that too. Also some amazing beautiful bookshelves, so yeah, definitely check those out. Then we have Rhiannon at Crescent Moon Reads, and you should watch her for fantasy, both YA and adult, sci-fi, comics, as well as some beautiful, meaningful historical fiction recommendations too. She has a really strong interest in Norse mythology and psychology and writing, and she is one fierce tough cookie, so please check her out. She is awesome. The next one is Die Kitty Reads, and this is Ellie, and you should watch her for sci-fi and fantasy, as well as film, TV and gaming themed videos. She's also created the small booktuber tag in response to this policy change, which you should definitely all do, so yeah, definitely check her channel out. Next one is Danny at Danny Reads, and you should watch her for fantasy, paranormal and YA contemporary. She's very eloquent, very honest reviews and some great well thought out opinions too. Next we have Daniela at Daniela in Prague, and you should watch her for fantasy, literary fiction, historical fiction, non-fiction, as well as Czech books, because she lives in the Czech Republic. She's very softly spoken, and she has a very lovely personality too, so please check her out. Then we have Ashley at Don't Have a Degree in Reading, and you should watch her for fantasy and historical fiction and some horror. She has some pretty obscure and underhyped books that she talks about quite a lot, so please check her out for all of that. And she has a lovely, chatty personality, so yeah, definitely check her out. Then we have Reggie at Don't Stop Reading, who you should watch for fantasy, sci-fi and diverse contemporary. She's very bubbly, and she has a wonderful personality, so please check her out. Then we have Charlie at Duvet Day Devours, who is one of my very good booktube friends. Definitely check her out for horror and thriller recommendations. She absolutely adores her comics and graphic novels too. She is so natural, and I absolutely adore her, so please check her out. Then we have Emily at Emily the Book Nerd, who you should watch for sci-fi, dystopian, fantasy and fluffy dogs. So if you love your fluffy dogs, she's definitely the girl for you. She has a very sweet personality and a really lovely relaxing voice too, so yeah, definitely check her out. Then we have Dimple at Enthralling Dimple, who you should watch for contemporary and fantasy from Indian writers. She is an Indian booktuber, and some pretty obscure titles that she mentions as well, so definitely check her out. Then we have Eva at Eva Muella Reads, who you should watch for YA contemporary, sci-fi and fantasy. She has some historical fiction in German as well, so if you're looking for foreign language books, definitely go and watch Eva. Then we have Grace at G Swizzle Books, who you should watch for YA fantasy, sci-fi and dystopian. She loves the whole Marvel universe, so definitely check her out if you're also a fan. She does some live shows. She is super bubbly, and she was actually one of my first BookTube subscribers, so I will always forever love her for that. So yeah, definitely check out Grace. Then we have the Game of Tomes girls, Christina and Jessica. Watch them for sci-fi and fantasy recommendations, but they have the most beautiful friendship, and I know actually I talk about them a lot on my channel because I absolutely adore them, and they are hilarious and probably one of the most underrated BookTube channels that I know of. Please check them out. They are so funny. So yeah, cannot recommend them enough. Next we have Georgina at Georgina Reads, who you should watch for YA reviews, discussions, vlogs and tags. She has a really lovely, positive personality, so definitely check her out. Then we have Justin at A Ghost Reader, who is a pretty new booktuber. He only has a few videos at the moment, so definitely go and check him out. He is very into historical fiction and non-fiction and sci-fi, but he will read pretty much anything, so please go and show him some love. Then we have Kelsey at Hardback Haven, who is another one of my very good BookTube friends. Please watch her for YA and adult fantasy, historical fiction, and some seriously badass women that she absolutely loves. She has some very aesthetically pleasing bookshelves too, so please go and check her out. Next we have Harriet at Harriet Rosie. You should watch her for literary fiction, non-fiction, thrillers. She has a very lovely soft voice and a warm personality, and she will be hosting a small booktuber Sunday hashtag on Twitter this coming Sunday in response to these policy changes too, so please go check her out. Then we have Holly at Holly the Book Lover, who you should watch for YA contemporary fantasy as well as adult thrillers. She is very softly spoken and so relaxing to listen to, so please go and check her out. Then we have JD at JD Estrada Writer. He is an indie author who you should watch for writing related videos, discussions, and he does have the occasional funny video thrown in there as well. Then we have Jay at JD Archer, who you should watch for sci-fi and fantasy. He's actually writing a sci-fi novel right now, so there's probably some writing videos in there too. He also has some great discussions, so please check him out for all of that. Then we have Jessie at Jessie Trafton, who you should read for dark fantasy, dark non-fiction, and some paranormal. She has some great obscure darker reads, so please check her out if that sounds like your kind of thing. Then we have Jessica at Jessica Breathe and Read. She loves her thought-provoking contemporaries. Please check her out because she is so fun-loving and so sweet. So yeah, definitely check her out. Then we have Jenna at Just a Little Bit Random, another one of my very good long-time BookTube friends. Please watch her for YA fantasy, sci-fi, film and TV discussions and reviews. She is so lovely and so bubbly, so please go and check her out. Then we have Kath at Kath Elizabeth Reads, who is another one of my very good BookTube friends. Please watch her for horror, thriller, modern classics and classic recommendations. Cannot recommend her enough. She is so honest and so detailed in her reviews, and she is just so lovely. She always makes me want to read all of the books that she talks about, so please go and check her out. Then we have Caitlin at Caitlin Ann, who you should watch for book reviews and discussions, theatre themed videos as well. She's very into her theatre, and you should also watch her for writing videos. She's really lovely and sweet too, so yeah, definitely check her out. Then we have Kelly Martin Books, and this is Kelly, who is a writer. She has lots of writing based videos and inspiration. I actually have the first book in her series on my Kindle that I need to get to soon, but she's been really lovely and supportive of my channel so far, so please go and watch her too. Then we have Katie at Kit Kats Can Read, and she's a booktuber I've been watching for years, but please watch her for YA dystopian, contemporary and fantasy. She's really lovely, really bubbly, so please go and check her out. Then we have Kayla at KJ and Her Books, who you should watch for historical fiction, classics and fantasy. She is a great bookstagrammer too, so please go and check out her Instagram, and she is really lovely and natural and so friendly, so yeah, please check her out. Then we have Christy at Chris Marie, who you should watch for paranormal and YA and lifestyle vlogs too. She has lots of inspirational non-fiction that she talks about too, and she's just really softly spoken, and she films in such a natural setup as well that I really love. Then we have Leanne Rose, who you should watch for YA contemporary, non-fiction and poetry. She has a very strong interest in gender studies and gender relations and things like that, so please check it out if you love all of that thought-provoking stuff. She has some very eloquent, well thought out reviews and discussion videos as well that you should definitely take a look at. Then we have Kelly at Let Me Take a Shelfie, who you should watch for YA contemporary, dystopian and fantasy. She is really, really lovely and sweet too, so please check her out. Then we have Desiree at Libri Labra, who you should watch for magical reads, sci-fi. She's also part of an online book club, so definitely check that out. She's really, really natural, has some great detailed discussions too, so please check her out too. Then we have Lisa at Lisa's West Coast Reads, who you should watch for unboxings, fantasy, literary fiction and thrillers. She has a really, really cozy setup too that I really, really love, and I love her really gentle Northeast England accent. It's so, so lovely, so please check her out too. Then we have Lucy at Lucy Reads, who you should watch for diverse YA and adult contemporary, as well as the odd fantasy book. She's very, very detailed in all of her opinions, and she has a very lovely calming voice that I really, really love. Then we have Megan at Lunasa, who you should watch for YA contemporary and fantasy and dystopian. She has some lovely lyrical discussions and just a beautiful, whimsical way of speaking. If you check her channel out, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. I absolutely loved listening to her yesterday, so yeah, definitely check her out. Then we have Jenny at Mama Bear Reads, who you should watch for YA and adult contemporary. She has some popular and some obscure titles in there as well. She also loves some horror and her thrillers as well. She has a lovely, lovely soft voice, and she's really relaxing to listen to, so definitely check her out. Then we have Sabrina at Midnight Starlight Writes. She is a writer, so definitely watch her for writing videos. She's also starting to do some traditional booktube videos now too. But I actually went to school with her, so she's like a personal friend of mine, so definitely check her out. Then we have Monica at Monica Hay, who you should watch for YA fantasy and some contemporary and some obscure fantasy in there too. She also has some writing videos and vlogs. She has a lovely, lovely personality, and I literally wrote down here, I want to be her friend. So Monica, I would like to be your friend. Please, can we be friends? Next one is Morgan at Morgie Reads, who you should watch for YA fantasy and sci-fi. She is also very into her spoken word poetry, and she loves her fierce females too, so please check her out for all of those kinds of things. She's really passionate about all of the books she talks about, and she really makes me want to read them, so definitely check her out. Then we have Laura at Paperback Winter, who you should watch for literary fiction, modern classics, historical fiction, with lots and lots of obscure titles that I have never ever heard of. She's really, really warm and likeable too. Then we have Penelope at Penelope Picks, who you should watch for fantasy, paranormal, thrillers and historical fiction. She has some very honest opinions, and she's super, super friendly too, so please check her out. Then we have Pip at Pip Reads, who you should watch for fantasy, dystopian, thought-provoking books, historical fiction and non-fiction. Very, very artsy, tricksy, quirky editing in her videos as well, which I was just mesmerised by, so please check her out for all of that kind of stuff. Then we have Rachel at Rachel's Reading Corner, who you should watch for classics, modern classics, graphic novels and comics. Very, very eloquent with some very, very detailed reviews and a lovely natural style to her too. Then we have Rebecca at Rapacious Reads, who you should watch for classics, romance and poetry. She has a very dry sense of humour too. She's really quirky and really funny, and she's really good at telling personal anecdotes and stories and things like that. Check her out if that sounds like your kind of thing. Then we have Rachel at Reader and the Right, who you should watch for literary fiction, short stories and poetry. She has lots of obscure titles that I'd never heard of that sound incredibly interesting. She's really informative, and she has a really lovely personality too. Then we have Karen at Reading Addiction, who you should watch for thrillers, fantasy and mystery. She has a very lovely natural setup and personality too. Then we have Rebecca at Rebecca Reads, who you should watch for literary fiction, fantasy and crime thrillers. She is also very, very relatable and very, very natural. Then we have Mariah at Redbird Reads, who is incredibly sweet. You should watch her for YA fantasy and sci-fi as well as the odd contemporary, and she is super relaxing to listen to, so please check her out. Then we have Karen at Run Right Reads, who you should watch for literary fiction, non-fiction, memoirs, modern classics, lots of titles that I've never heard of, so please check her out for all your obscure titles. Very, very soft, relaxing voice. I absolutely adore her voice, so please check her out. Then we have Samantha at Samantha's Books, who you should watch for YA and adult sci-fi and fantasy, also some YA contemporary and literary fiction in there too. Super, super warm personality too. Then we have Sarah at Sarah Reads, who you should watch for YA fantasy and paranormal, also TV discussions and tags too. Then we have Shannon at Secondhand Shan, who you should watch for magical books and some classics, some beautiful editions of books on her channel too. A very natural personality in a natural setting. She's also starting to do some gaming videos now, so if you're into that, definitely check her out. Then we have Shayla at Shay Geeks Out, who you should watch for fantasy, retellings and some poetry in there too. Quite a lot of obscure titles on her channel too, so if you're looking for a new title in any of those genres, please check her out. Then we have Wolfie at Silly Little Ravenclaw, who you should watch for diverse YA contemporary and fantasy, as well as some quirky sci-fi in there too. Also lots of LGBT recommendations on that channel, so definitely check her out for that. Then we have Sylvia at Sylvia K, who is another one of my very, very good BookTube friends who you should watch for classics and chick lit and retellings and writing videos as well, because she is a writer, but she is the creator of Cozyathon as well, and she is like the queen of discussion videos, so please check her out for that. Then we have Sophie at Sophia Lane Reads, who is another one of my very good BookTube friends. Please watch her for YA, fantasy and contemporary recommendations. She loves her historical fiction too, but please check her out for her adult book recommendations, because that's what she's starting to move into now, so yeah, definitely check her out. Then we have Tatty at Tatty the Tiny Booktuber, who you should watch for YA contemporary, dystopian and thriller mysteries. She's really, really sweet, so cute, so please check her out. Then we have Taylor at Taylor Talks Books, who you should watch for YA fantasy, contemporary and lots of diverse books as well. She's very big on LGBT reads, and she's really, really cute and really, really funny, so definitely check her out. Then we have Emma Lou at Teller of Tales, who you should watch for obscure paranormal and fantasy books, as well as some popular releases. She also has some historical fiction in there as well. She's very, very honest with her opinions too, so please check her out. Then we have Mianicorn from the Bookish Land, who you should watch for literary fiction, dystopian and historical fiction. She has some Chinese books as well. She's a Chinese booktuber, so please check her out if you are looking for any books from that whole culture and any of those genres. So yeah. Then we have Krista at the Bookish Porcupine, who you should watch for YA, dystopian and fantasy, as well as thought-provoking and deep contemporary, in a lovely, lovely cozy setup, which I really love too. Then we have Jolene from The Fictional Reader, who you should watch for fantasy, historical fiction, mystery and romance. She has a very natural, warm personality too, so definitely check her out. Then we have Dayton at The First Chapter, who you should watch for fantasy and comedy sketches, because he is so cute and so funny. I absolutely adore him, so please watch his channel. Then we have Jordan at The Lost Reader, who you should watch for YA contemporary, fairy tales, fantasy and mysteries too. She's also really, really lovely. Then we have Roger at The YA Lifestyle, who you should watch for fantasy and manga recommendations, as well as some YA contemporary. Then we have Senior from The Book Chatter, who you should watch for YA fantasy and contemporary, a very lovely warm personality and some gorgeous bookshelves thrown in there too. Then we have Hannah at The Rainy Reader, who you should watch for YA fantasy and contemporary, reading vlogs and a very lovely, passionate, bubbly personality. So yeah, definitely check her out. Then we have Chrissy at The September Issue, who you should watch for YA fantasy and the odd contemporary, honest, detailed reviews, very, very friendly personality, so definitely check her out. Then we have Leandra from The Unicorn Reader, who you should watch for YA fantasy and dystopian, also some TV discussions thrown in there as well. Very, very sweet, bubbly personality, so definitely check her out. Then we have Tina from Tiny Fit Reads, who you should watch for fantasy, epic fantasy, and a very strong interest in mythology. She is super sweet, a really lovely voice, so please check her out. Then we have Mark at Toast Dragon Fantasy, who you should check out for fantasy and writing videos. He has a very quirky sense of humour that I really love too, so definitely check him out. Then we have CT Russell at Tome Time Tea, who you should watch for a very innovative channel told through a very simple animation, and also a really interesting concept of pairing books with tea, which I just think is absolutely genius, because I'd never even thought of doing that before, so definitely check that out. It's super interesting. Next we have Tom at Tom Talks Books, who you should check out for sci-fi, fantasy, retellings and Disney. He loves his Disney. Also some great discussion videos and a lovely sense of humour, so definitely check him out. Then we have Tracy at Tracy Talks Tales, who you should watch for sci-fi, fantasy and film and TV discussions and reviews. Very lovely, natural, cosy setting on that channel too. Then we have Roya at Unicorn Hunter Books, who you should watch for YA and adult sci-fi and fantasy. Lots of titles I'd never heard of on that channel. She is currently also hosting the Wheel of Time readathon with Jade from Bedtime Bookworm, so yeah, definitely check both of those out if you're interested in reading that series super soon. Then we have Jodie at Vanilla Moon, who you should watch for YA and adult sci-fi and fantasy and the old contemporary. She is a big Star Wars fan, so definitely check her out if you are too. She also has some lifestyle vlogs. She has a very lovely natural personality too. Then we have Victoria at Victoria Reads, who you should watch her nostalgic rereads series, where she is rereading books from her childhood and discussing them now, which I think is super interesting. Then we have Cass at What Cass Read, who you should watch for epic fantasy with the odd sci-fi and dystopian. Very informative and eloquent, detailed discussions. Then we have Nicole, who produces videos at Who Picked This Book. You should watch her for unboxings, fantasy and dystopian, a really lovely warm personality too. Then we have Kathleen at Worth 1,000 Words, who you should watch for YA contemporary, including some obscure books, very detailed discussions. It really makes me want to read the books that she talks about too. Then we have Kerry Ann at Woman vs Books, who is another one of my very good BookTube friends. You should definitely watch her for thrillers and literary fiction and children's books. She has a very natural style and a really lovely personality, so please check her out. And lastly, we have Zane at Zane's Book Nook, who you should watch for YA contemporary and fantasy, lots and lots of fun tags and discussion videos, and a really lovely, friendly personality. So that is it for the BookTube channels that came through to me. I do actually have a few non-bookish channels as well that I'm just going to mention. So we have a beauty YouTube channel called Kimberly Sarah. We have an acoustic musician called Sarah Devries. There is also a travel, food and lifestyle channel called Cat C Loey Do. There's also a game streaming channel called Nerdy Addy. There's also a family lifestyle kind of channel called V&B Reality. There's also a lifestyle and travel channel called Moaba. There's also another beauty and lifestyle channel called Pink Floss 86. There is a kind of how-to life hack kind of channel called C Banger 360. There is a film photography channel called Bill Pickle. There is another lifestyle vlog channel called KA9, and there is a lovely mindfulness kind of positive thinking kind of channel called Secret Vibe. As I said, I will link all of the channels I mentioned in the description down below. If you're new, which I'm sure a few of you will be, hello, my name is Alex. I live in the southeast of London. This channel is equal parts blood and equal parts fluff. I read pretty much anything. I mostly read probably horror, thrillers, sci-fi and fantasy, but I cannot resist a really good, unique contemporary too. So I hope you guys will stick around even after this whole YouTube thing has died down, because I really hope that you enjoy my content. So I hope you have now found some new booktubers to give some love to. I'm sure you will, because there were a hell of a lot there. I will leave all of my social media in the description down below. I hope you're having an awesome day, and I will see you very soon for another video. Bye bye.